Welcome, friends. This episode of the Grieving Nurse podcast, we are going to talk about when you cannot grieve. Welcome back, or welcome for the first time if you are new here. And please like, subscribe, follow, and share this podcast with others so they can get help on their grief journey. And today we're going to talk about when you can't grieve. So, in the beginning, after you lose somebody, there's kind of a period where you're numb or it doesn't feel real, or it feels like they just went on vacation or they're just at work, or it doesn't sink in. And so when that happens, oftentimes I see people being like, "Oh my gosh, I can't breathe. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Like I can't cry." And I just want you to take a deep breath and I want you to know that nothing is wrong. Okay. This is just your brain's way of kind of sheltering you a little bit from this event that has happened. Okay. It's just a lot of information at first, it's a lot of overload. You're trying to plan a funeral, you're trying to line up all the paperwork that comes with debt, you're trying to do all those kinds of things. Okay. And so your brain is kind of like in survival mode, is trying to figure out what are the things that need to be done. I don't know what I'm doing. All these things are bombarding you, right? And so the last thing that your brain wants to do is sit down and cry. Now, not saying that that can't happen. However, a lot of times it's just like, okay, well, we need to go to the funeral home. We need to make arrangements. We need to pick out an outfit. We need to pick out the program. We need to proofread the program. We need to pick out music. We need to notify everybody that our loved one has passed away. And so you're just kind of going through the mundane tasks that come with death. And after a few days, after maybe you have a prayer service, burial, cremation, whatever it is that you're doing for your loved one, you kind of have a breath and a pause. Everybody leaves, and you just kind of still feel numb. And that's okay. Sometimes it takes weeks, sometimes it takes months, sometimes it might even take a year or so. I know for in my situation, after my mom died, it just felt very numbing, a shock. Like, of course, we were sad and just overwhelmed because she died so suddenly. And when the dust kind of settled, right? When after everybody gone home, and it was around Christmas time, and so we had our Christmas celebration, and even that was just a very numbing out experience for me. Like I really don't remember much of what we did. I know I had some wonderful coworkers at the time who got us a lot of gifts for my children and my nieces and nephew, and I even had coworkers from my past hospice that I worked from at that had done the same thing. And so I'm so grateful to that because I don't think I know I wasn't in the capacity to like go Christmas shopping. And so that was just a very kind thing that they had done for my family and I. And so that was wonderful. And we had a Christmas celebration, but it just was very um I don't want to say dull. I want to say it was just like blah. Like which maybe is dull. It was just blah. Like we were just going through the motions, have the kids open the presents. We were excited because they were excited, but it just didn't feel the same. And it wasn't, and of course we were sad, but it wasn't like we were like breaking down crying. We just felt more numb. And so then shortly after that, then I found out about all the debt that my husband had hidden from me and had taken a bunch of credit cards out and so I was dealing with that. And so for, I would say probably about a year and a half, I really didn't give the space to grieving for my parents because I was so busy raising six children and working as a hospice nurse and trying to fix my marriage that it just kind of was something that when it did come up, I would just kind of stuff down also. And so I just want you to see that there is a difference between that numbing stage that is normal and that is fine, that I think everybody goes through. It just kind of varies from the length and it can come and go. And the difference between that versus when I was trying to stuff down the emotions and when I was like, nope, I can't handle that kind of grief because I have the grief of my marriage. And so those are two totally different things, and neither one of them is bad or wrong. I just want you to see that with when people say I can't grieve, oftentimes it's because they feel like something's gone wrong. Like there's something wrong with them. I can't even grieve. I can't even cry. Like, what's wrong with me? When is the grief going to hit? And so that is normal. And I also want to tell you that everybody is a little bit different. Just like each of us are born a little bit differently, each of us die a little bit differently, each of us grieve a little bit differently. And so it just depends on your life situation and circumstances and what's happening around you. And and that's okay. Nobody nobody's one grief journey is the same, and that's okay. I think often we get caught in the trap of comparing, right? Where, oh my gosh, well, this person's husband died and like they were crying all the time. What's wrong with me? I can't even cry. Well, maybe it's just a different situation. Maybe they're ready for those emotions and they're ready to move through that. Maybe for you, it's just going to take a little bit more time and those emotions will come. Maybe they'll be shorter, maybe they'll be longer than the other person. It doesn't really matter. Okay. So, that is the tip that I want to give you today. One of the tips is to not look at others to compare your grief journey. Everybody's grief journey is different, and where you're at is exactly where you're meant to be. And then, second off, if you're in that kind of numbing, I can't grieve stage, I want you to just look at that a little bit differently. And I want you to say, that is the phase of grief I'm in. I'm in that numbing stage. It's not that I can't grieve. That is what grief looks like for me right now. And that will come and go. And so I want to give you permission to realize that and accept that and not think that anything has gone wrong. And I help walk people through this. You can book a free consult call with me at nursegriefcoaching.com. Just click the button, find my calendar, find a time that we can meet up, and I walk you through this. I help you understand that nothing has gone wrong. I help give you tools to move forward. So when the grief shows up in a different way, that you can handle it. I help you with those unexpected grief triggers that when you're going through and you're kind of numb, and then all of a sudden something hits you and the floodgates open and you're just bombarded with all this emotion. I help you process that as well. So you can go to nursegriefcoaching.com, book a free consult call, and as always, I hope you guys have the very best day that you possibly can. And I'm praying for you. I'll see you next time.